Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Irene Zhang. I'm the product marketing lead for Juniper's SP security and cloud security portfolio. Joining me today is Mark Denny.
Thanks, Irene. My name is Mark Denny, and I'm a senior product manager here in the security team at Juniper.
Thanks for joining this session. In this session, Mark and I will talk about how adding on security using the MX that you already have can make it even more powerful. So to start with, what is going on right now in the short term and the long term, and how it's going to impact the security investment. So right now, most of us are still working from home, and the COVID-19 impact is impacting everyone. And we do see that with that have the increase of remote workforce, and also the cyber attacks actually are increasing. How we, as an infrastructure team, as a security team, how to protect the infrastructure, application, and user, and have it to the defense system to really modernize it to adapt to the new normal. That is something that we at Juniper really wants to help you to support that. And also, while we're dealing with what is happening right now, I know that all of you are also have strategic long-term projects that you are supporting with, whether you are doing with 5G, whether it's fiber to the home, or whether it's IoT, whether it's multi-cloud, or whether it's the edge cloud. All of them have security implications. And if we look at how some of those trends, how it have the requirements change for the security infrastructure, I would say there are 4 fundamental areas to consider. There is the throughput performance, whether it's 5G, whether it's the fiber to the home, whether it's some of the increased remote workforce. With everybody using more and more the internet, the network, with those applications to access the cloud, the throughput, the bandwidth has to increase, and the security infrastructure have to match up to that requirement, no doubt. And in addition to the bandwidth, the throughput, the connection scale is also something that we have to consider and increase, in particular to support the IoT, and also everybody have more and more devices connected to the network and expect to connect everything to any application, anytime, anywhere. And the third is with different things, different people connected to the application anywhere, it does increase the attack surface. And over the last couple of months, we already seen there are more attack surface that hackers are taking advantage of. And with 5G and IoT, most of the things are insecure by default. And with 5G, with the network architecture changing, that there are new interfaces, those also opens up new attack surfaces. And that brings to the 4th point, that is the architecture evolution. Traditionally, most of the security architecture are very much centralized based, that you have some very high performance firewalls or DDoS appliance that is protecting the core or the data center. And now with the architecture moving from centralized to distributed, from scale up to scale out, security also needs to be distributed to protect those new infrastructure. But that is easy to say. When it comes to actual planning, actual implementation, actual execution, we do acknowledge that there are a lot of challenges that you are facing, how to really keep up with the performance and scale requirements, how to manage the complexity from multiple vendors, the complexity from architecture evolution. Changing architecture is not an easy thing. It's not like a PowerPoint slide. Whenever you change architecture, it's always complex. And also how to balance the cost. Everybody's budget is limited in some way. And also the shortage of cybersecurity staff is a global phenomenon. And except for certain companies, most of the companies, including all of you that are watching, I'm sure that in some way or not, okay, hold on here. In some way that every company, every organization face the challenge of the shortage of cybersecurity staff. So that is something that we have to tackle to balance how to meet the requirements for the security and at the same time balance the internal challenges. And that is what the MX security that we're offering, that we believe can really help you address the challenges, both to address the external requirement and the internal challenge. That is, the whole idea is about with the MX that you already have, the routing platform that you already have. If you can add on security using the chassis that you have, whether it's using the services card or whether it's using some software subscription, that you can easily add on security to modernize the security infrastructure, to mitigate the security threats, and even better, to monetize it as a service so that you can balance out the cost. That will be something that can really fundamentally solve the problem. And underneath this MX security umbrella, there are 3 product offerings, which Mark, our product manager, will give you an overview of each of them. Mark, hand it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Irene. Appreciate everybody's time today. And we're going to touch, as Irene mentioned, on 3 areas that we're very excited about. And the first one is it really talks to the notion of a flexible architecture, being able to distribute and layer in and add in security services as a customer requires, and as you see fit and grow it over time. It allows you to leverage the existing MX infrastructure you have, specifically here in this case, the MX240, the MX480, and the MX960. And we're introducing our latest generation. And in fact, we started shipping this just at the end of last calendar year. And our latest generation of security services card, the MX SPC3. Now, this is a classic initial discussion around next generation speeds and feeds as it pertains to scale and session scale and user scale, but also significant performance boosts, as you might expect and would expect from a new generation of a hardware product. It really speaks to some of the initial points that Irene raised, that customers are under a tremendous amount of pressure, whether it's in the enterprise space or the service provider area, as it pertains to maintaining pace with the current changes that we're seeing within network usage. Meaning, COVID-19 scenarios are certainly highlighting that for all providers and everybody at home. The amount of traffic has increased dramatically, but over the last decade, and it continues to go forward as more and more applications and information go into the cloud and are centralized effectively for storage, but available anytime, anywhere. We're just seeing, times factor projections from our customer base as to what their requirements are when it comes to users and the amount of throughput. So that's really what we're extremely proud of with this new generation of hardware. We're talking effectively 2 to 3 times throughput, and I'll touch on that a little bit. So, really the information on the side you can see on the right-hand side here is all about horsepower, and that's really the takeaway. This card is built for speed. It significantly clocks up the performance of the CPUs that we've selected on this generation of card. A lot of additional memory for capacity to add new and interesting features down the road beyond what we're doing today. And scale-wise, you see you've got the option, and it really fits into maybe not just the cost structure you have within your network, but also the size and footprint of your specific locations. So really, whether you're a tier 1 SP, a tier 2, a tier 3, large, medium, or smaller enterprise, there's something for everybody in this context. And the other takeaway here is that, which the next part of this conversation really gets into high performance. So I touched on this a couple times, but it really still holds true. And then what we're showing here are real world numbers that we've tested with the data that you're seeing on the side, and compares our prior instantiations of a similar card. And, just doing the math quickly, you can see here that we're talking 3x the performance when it comes to the CG NAT or carrier grade NAT. Likewise, in the firewall functionality, we're still projecting out and working on our IPsec infrastructure, but stay tuned, that's coming very, very soon. And you're going to see the same types of performance improvements there. So again, critical for our customers. And then depending on your your deployment requirements and needs, specifically things like packet size, which will relate to a number of customers when you're looking to understand the performance characteristics. We can work with your Juniper account teams to really tailor the information to your needs, so you can understand the path forward from your current environments today. So we're really pleased in the fact that we can really stand behind these numbers every day. And it's an impressive product. Now, it's multi-market. I mentioned that as well. So whether you're an enterprise or a service provider, this card really has something for everybody. It really touches on a couple things. One, it's a multi-service card. What does that mean? Well, it just that. It can run multiple features concurrently on a single card. You can load up, as we showed prior, anywhere from 2 to 7, depending on the MX you have and that's supported. And you can have any combinations of features and running on one or more cards within the chassis. So a tremendous amount of flexibility, and then you can really choose to design your deployment any way you want. A single box with an HA in an HA pair. You may have different boxes performing different tasks, different cards performing different tasks. It really depends on how you want to put things together, and as always, we're here to help you do that. And then on the left-hand side of this slide, you're seeing just some of the different use cases that really come to mind. Certainly mobile operators are a big part. Carrier grade NAT, or NAT in general, is by far the number one use case and feature, I think, within the industry, whether it's, again, you're an enterprise or an SP customer. These are things that you're dealing with every day, address management, and increasingly we're seeing a lot of interest in dual stack as well, IPv4, v6, and different modes of tackling that type of go-to-market. On the right-hand side, I do want to touch on quickly that our security services are a hybrid or a combination of both the MX SPC3 horsepower and generation of card, but also inline. And when we say inline or trio-based, that's really all about leveraging the Juniper's core hardware IP when it comes to what we've been good at for decades since the company started, and delivering high-speed, extremely robust and intelligent line card technology where we can run various features as appropriate on those line cards. So you can do both within your MX chassis. Use a service card for very high-end processing, feature processing like CGNAT and others, and also line up the cards in the chassis itself. So next, I'd like to now kind of shift gears a bit to security intel or Secintel. Another exciting area. I mean, we're really looking at the whole portfolio of things. You're really looking at top to bottom a full stack, 7-layer stack, if you will, looking at it from an old time perspective, but the whole notion of being able to protect from the lowest levels of the network all the way up to the highest ends and proactively monitor. So Secintel is all about, first of all, it's powered by the ATP cloud infrastructure that Juniper has built and created. It's multi-platform. Here we're going to talk specifically about the MX routers themselves, but as you can see here, it is able to touch a variety of different Juniper platforms with a single implementation, and has that awareness to be able to give you cross-network consistent policy enforcement when it comes to securing your network infrastructure. In this case, where we talk about the MX, so Secintel itself is it resides in the cloud portion, the ATP cloud portion. It works with the policy enforcer product and allows devices to be enrolled, in this case an MX, to be enrolled into the system, and allows you to block known and to be aware of and to block known malicious hosts and command and control, or C2 or C2C, C&C type of connections and attack scenarios. So what would that be? Well, known sites that are known to infect user systems, and then those systems are either taken over or in the background making an outbound connection from within your network to perform various tasks, maliciously stealing information, potentially lateral threats within your organization where they're reaching out and starting to create havoc. So the whole Secintel infrastructure that is able to manage any of those attacks from blocking them from coming in, as well as detecting them on the inside out or going out from if they've happened to have made it into the network, then we can block it from the inside going out. Now, there's quite a bit of information that's provided on this within the actual information that's pushed down, something called threat feeds, where it's an IP address, it could be a domain or URL over time, and allows you to also customize these types of lists, so-called blacklists and whitelists that get pushed down. The policy enforcer allows you to regularly receive updates to the MX device. They're pushed down to the MX and then implemented through they utilize netconf to actually implement the configuration down to the MX itself and instantiate in real time the policy that can be applied immediately to traffic. So here and now, and I was also going to say that the traffic itself, the information that's pushed down, I should say the threat feed itself, has a variety of categorizations when it comes to severity of the type of attack. It can be customized as well. There's multiple actions that can be applied, whether you're blocking traffic, allowing traffic in a whitelist type scenario, or you just want to keep an eye on something and maybe sample that traffic and really keep an eye and understand what you might want to do later on if it's something new that you're not used to seeing. So quite a bit of control over what you can do. Today it's supported on the MX240, 480, and 960. And stay tuned, and over time you're going to see that expand in the MX portfolio up and down the portfolio. So that'll be coming new. Now, the whole idea here, this is a great example of leveraging the packet forwarding engine or the PFE or the Trio base PFE that runs on the MPCs, the line cards, the IO cards that connect MX routers to your network, and allows us to leverage that power, real-time performance, high-speed inline type of performance as it hits the router itself. So a great example of that high-speed intelligence that Juniper is bringing to the market. And lastly, I'd also like to talk to you about another layer of the offerings that we have when it comes to securing your network. Now, this is a partnership that a solution that we've created and bringing to market with a partnership with a company called Corero, and they're very focused on the whole DDoS, especially the volumetric DDoS market space. They're an industry leader in how they approach this market space, and they've got a solution that tightly integrates today with the Juniper MX series routers. And over time, we're actually looking at expanding that across our portfolio as well in a variety of different means. Now, what's it all about? Well, it's about, as the title entails, sub-second DDoS protection. So that this solution allows you to not have a scenario where it's 2 to 3 to 5 to 7 minutes between attack detection and actual mitigation. We're talking about real-time, continuous life cycle of monitoring your network traffic and pushing down immediate mitigation through Junos to the actual ports themselves that are being monitored, such that you can, at a very granular level, detect and only stop the attack traffic. So we want to focus on stopping the bad traffic while allowing the good traffic that could be intended for the same user to actually persist and allow you. So a very granular approach, a very high speed and accurate approach, and we want to avoid unnecessary downtime for individual, whether it's an enterprise customer or whether it's an SP, a paying SP customer. We want to maximize the business side of things as well, and not just the technical side of things. So the product itself is, again, another great example of interfacing with the PFE and the Trio hardware architecture. It does not require the MX SPC3 card. It can be licensed and implemented, layered right into your MXs today. It supports a very wide range of MXs. It supports from the 10K all the way down to the MX 150 and below, and we're also certifying below that. So you have a wide range of options. You can purchase it it supports from 100 gig all the way up to 40 terabytes. So literally being able to sample and understand traffic all the way up to 40 terabytes of network bandwidth that's being sent in. And so the solution itself is a VM. It's a software solution. It resides on an x86 infrastructure, whether it's KVM or ESXi, and it has very minimal configuration requirements on the MX itself. It makes use of the ephemeral database, which resides within Junos, and allows us to push real-time updates to the configuration that are applied to the MX itself. You don't touch the main configuration, which is something that a lot of our customers really like. You can have your entire configuration set aside and hard-coded and hardened, I should say, such that you don't introduce anything new other than a mirroring where we're sampling at a rate of 1 in 1,000. So there's a continuous stream of data being sent to the SmartWall TDD solution, and which includes a payload such that we can actually look at not just the headers and the information that you would typically see from flow-based solutions, but we can actually digest the actual traffic that's within the payload from the source and destinations in the session, and detect any of these malicious attacks on the system. So what we do is immediately push down, once we see that attack through netconf, a policy to block. Typically, you can also have it in monitor only mode, so you've got the flexibility of just monitoring to see what's really going on within your network before you mitigate. Likewise, we're also tapping into the telemetry support within the Junos products. So you can continuously, after we've applied a policy, receive feedback on the amount of traffic that continues to come in, and then you actually see when the attack has stopped, and we'll report on that information. And once we've seen a 5-minute period of time where the attack has stopped, we will go in and dynamically remove the policy that was pushed down. So we'll do a cleanup effectively within the MX system. And we'll just wait for anything else we might see that's malicious and known, and push it down, go through the whole life cycle again. So it's a continuous life cycle of watching and mitigating at very, very high speed. So it's a very exciting offering that we've been reselling for just over a year. And we're extremely excited by the interest level. Again, this is a great example of applying to both the SP community as well as the enterprise space, and as it scales appropriately for each of those environments. One of the important things here that the takeaway would be, I kind of alluded to it a little bit up front with Corero and why we wanted to work with them, because they are leading edge and cutting edge, and this is something that's very important to us. We're not looking for a Me Too type technology here, which leverages existing NetFlow type oriented solutions that take time. There's a delay in between, receiving information being gathered, sent up, and then mitigating. This is just, the attacks are happening so fast and so frequent these days that we really need something that has the ability of looking all the time, and then using newer tools and protocols to be able to push things down. So lots more innovation in this area to come. Stay tuned, and we'll be more than happy to work with you to understand it in much more detail, and hopefully implement it in your network. So a great solution that we're super excited about. Hey, thanks, Irene. So I'll hand it back over to Irene.
Thank you, Mark. And so to summarize, why Juniper MX security? Why to add on security using the MX you already have? Because they are powerful together. And so as we already talked about, it allows you to have line rate performance. So performance at scale, you already know how powerful it is with the MX for the routing. And it's the same when you add on security. So security without performance degradation. And this is a brand promise that you can always rely on Juniper to deliver the high performance that you can always expect. And second is how easy it is to extend security to the new distributed edge. We talk about the need to evolve the architecture from centralized to distributed. And one way that you can do it is with the MX using the MX as the edge router at those distributed sites. You can use the same space and just adding the services card or add the service subscription, the software intelligence, and activate the security at those distributed sites. So that brings the third point, the simple or simplicity. And that is how we can tackle the complexity challenge by making it easy, making it simple to turn on the security using the MX that you already have, using the platform that you already have. And another approach that we have been very committed to is automation. making sure that the threat detection and mitigation are automated so that less human manual operations are needed. Thank you so much for listening through this session with Mark and I. If you want to learn more about the MX security, contact your account managers and schedule time with us to get a deeper dive.